Hey, what's up, creators? This is John once again, and you have found the Sketch Podcast. I am here, as always, with publisher Bob Hickey and editor Bill Nichols, and we are going to be talking about sketch cards tonight. How you doing tonight, guys?
Hey, John.
Hey, John.
Yes, that was Bill first, then Bob, in case this is your first podcast. But if it's your first podcast, stop listening to this one. Go back to the first one.
That's right.
By then, you'll know all of us.
That's right.
But we are talking sketch cards. So, sketch cards, tiny little things. What's the big deal? Why is everybody so enamored with sketch cards right now?
Well, for an artist, you don't have a great deal of time spent on one piece of it. It's a little piece of art the size of a baseball card that range from simple sketch cards in pencil to very dynamic color illustrations, and some of them are just plain awesome. And you can do them single, you can do them in group shots. I mean, I've seen some very clever groupings, but a lot of people are doing them. If you go to Scoundrel Art Community, Scoundrel Art Community, most every one of those people do sketch cards, and there's a lot of them. A lot of cards, a lot of sets and things coming out, but they're pretty cool, actually. I mean, we know several people who regularly do cards. Tony Hochgren, Ingrid Hardy, Joe Caroni. I mean, that's where I first really started paying attention, was when Joe was doing them. And he'd come up for pre-comic day at Comics to Games. Mm-hmm. And I learned a little bit about them from him. And over the past couple of years, especially with us doing the sketch card event for cancer, you've seen a lot of cards, and it's amazing what some of these people can do in just a small amount of space, but they're doing it, and they're still doing it.
I think a big thing for collectors is that, they're small, so you can collect a lot of them and put them into a small amount of space, frame them, display them. But you can also get them affordably. I mean, most cards probably range, I say, from $10 to maybe, $30, $40, $50 on commission base. Now, there's some guys I know who gets a lot more, and it depends on who they are and what they're connected with. So I guess we could get into that a little bit farther. But sketch cards definitely have been very popular. We sell a lot of Blue Line to artists and to fans who take around getting artists to sign them. I think if you're going to be successful at it, and I know there's several sketch card sites out there along with DeviantArt, a few of them, you've got to become an artist that collectors want. To do that, you've sort of got to do like a friend of ours, Scott Simmons, who is now, I guess, an official Star Wars artist. Is that correct, John?
I believe so, yeah. He is one of the people that is, I don't know if you call it licensed, but essentially Lucasfilms allows him to create Star Wars imagery.
Approved.
Yeah.
Approved, yeah.
Approved would be the best way.
He is approved.
Yeah, that means he can be hired to do illustration for Star Wars.
Right. Because there is that brouhaha, not so much with Star Wars recently, but with Marvel characters, where they were getting a little antsy about people making money off of their, doing their characters at conventions and such. And Lucas is notoriously heavy about his properties getting out into other hands. So when you can get someone who's approved by Lucasfilms, it's definitely a plus and does a great deal for the collectability of the card.
Right. Now, usually guys are used like that to do the sketch cards and card collections, right?
Yes.
Yeah, from Topps.
Right. And it's not Joe Caroni in some way also approved?
Yeah, Joe has been Star Wars approved for a long time. from doing
Right.
role-playing games to he moved right into the sketch cards.
Yeah.
He's done fanzine stuff for official fan publications and
Star Wars Insider.
Star Wars Insider.
I've inked some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Yep.
you.
So yeah,
No credit. So good.
he does. So yeah, he does sketch art, and he fetches a pretty fair penny for his ones. I think the way it works is that you commit to do so many cards. And I mean, there's some guys like, well, Yuko Smith. He does some sketch cards. I don't know if he did Star Wars. I know he's done Marvel and DC ones.
Right.
As you say, okay, I'm going to do 200 sketch cards. Man, you gotta be able to crank them out. Do 200 sketch cards, but you do 200 sketch cards, and then you get so many extra cards that you can do what you want with. And what they do is every card they give you has a special border or a special logo or something on it to make it connected with that set of cards. So you only get so many of those, and you can sketch on them. You can take them to shows and sell them. But a lot of people eBay them. And I know at one time Joe was getting a pretty good penny for his sketch cards on eBay. So you may not make a whole lot when you do the cards for Topps. I don't think you're hard to get anything actually. You do them for Topps, but it's those extra ones that you can sell of your own. That's where you really make your money.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, you
No,
only
go
make a little bit. No, you for each card you only make. I'm guessing $1.50 or something. It's not a lot for cards. So, but yeah, it's really the returns that you get the money on.
Right.
And it also depends on the collectability and who you are and what it is, but and the card set as well, because there's a difference between Joe Crony's Star Wars price and Joe Crony's Xena Warrior Princess price. It's they're both cool, but collectability wise, it is different because subject matter. I know.
I was going to say, Bill, you mentioned inking a minute ago, and
Uh-huh.
that kind of brings up the question: what are the unique challenges to artists about having to create a sketch card, say, versus a full-size print?
Well, it's a lot of the same skill set, but you are working in a. And it kind of depends really on what you want to achieve with that. If you are just going to crank them out, but I've seen some cranked out cards that are pretty tricked out as well. I mean, that is a challenge to do something that's very colorful, maybe, or very dynamic in that small size. But by working in that small size, I mean, I know some artists who will work on a set, say, of Luke Skywalker, and they'll have a model card, and they'll do a bunch of cards the same, or more or less the same. So they'll take it from the pencils, maybe to the inks, if they want to do color, that kind of thing. It really depends on how much they can maybe fit in there. Because there are some people who will say, yeah, I'll do 1,000 cards. And I think Joe at first was doing a lot of cards. But that's a huge demand on your time, because you do have a deadline. And trying to get those cards in and done, I mean, you're working many hours in the day, many days of the week until you get those done. So I remember he would update, like, I've done 50 cards today, and he was just trying to get them all done. And he learned from that early, but it did give him a lot of not so much practice, but it sort of gave him ideas on his other cards. And other people, I've seen that too, where maybe they start out really excited to be doing a lot of cards, or say, thinking that a lot of their cards are going to be out in circulation. But the reality of is their schedule, their time, because there may be other projects that they're doing, and that's maybe a little extra money, maybe that's a little extra exposure. So you have to balance that between what you commit to and what you can turn in, and how involved your cards can be. So
it can end up becoming somewhat assembly line after a while.
It can be. I mean, if you have a usually before the cards actually hit, you may have sketches of what you're going to do. I mean, we've done a couple of articles in Sketch about. I think Ebert Hardy did one in the new issue of Sketch Magazine, which is out now. Should have hit everybody's subscription.
Yes.
The mailbox. And we've done others. George Calloway, I believe, and there's a few others. But knowing those people and following those people, and several of those people will do cards on Ustream or Livestream, and you can watch them sketch their cards. Nicole Goff, Nicole does a lot of cards, and she does some awesome cards, and she will go through the whole process. And she'll do that on Ustream, and then she will take that raw video, and then she will edit it into sort of a time-lapse thing with music and put that on YouTube. I think I forwarded those links to you sometimes, John. She has some stuff going on.
Yeah, I really wish she would talk about her process more.
Yeah, but that's over the course of hours, so
yeah,
that's
true.
Really why she doesn't do it, but she's involved in several card sets at any given time.
Right.
She's a good one to watch, and so is George and the others, Jeremy Trees.
Well, I know Renee DeLise. I think she's wrapping up illustrating The Last Unicorn for IDW. Her and Ray, they do tons of sketch cards at conventions. They're they put out a list, and they just their list gets full quick. And they're fast. The idea is, to me, if you're gonna do sketch cards, it's gonna be fast. Because you gotta. I know Bob always talks about making money, but you've got to crank out the cards for the time lot. If you want to make so much an hour, and say, you might want to make $20 an hour at a con or $30 an hour. That's not $30 or $40 an hour at a con's not bad, because you got a lot of overhead to cover at a convention, the cost of doing it and everything. So you need to be able to crank out. If you're charging $10 a piece, you need to be able to crank out 4 cards an hour. Some of these guys, it's crazy how much time they spend on them. But they're beautiful, little, personalized pieces of original artwork.
Yeah.
I think that's the real grabber right now, is that they're one of a kinds, and you can have somebody knock off the same image 4 times, but each one's going to have its own look, own feel. So they're pretty neat. It's a neat way for an artist to make some money. We're going to try it next spring, Jackie and I. She shows that she can't make it. She's going to go ahead and pencil up the characters of Clay's Way. I'll sit there at shows in ink and marker them, and then toss them out and see if we can make $10, $15, $20 a piece on them. I think it'll work.
Well, what do you think of maybe the sketch card as a tool for someone to put get their name out, or as a young or beginning artist? What do you think of that as your calling card, or your way of getting your stuff out there prior to the other? I might not be saying it right.
I think I know where you're going with this, and that is a because that has opened up so many more opportunities for artists. I mean, there are a lot of people who are doing sketch cards who want to do comics, or who want to do other things, but comics in particular. And doing sketch cards has been a way to get their name out there that they wouldn't have had otherwise. It's an avenue where, because if you're part of a sketch card set, that is a published credit, more or less. So not, from experience, we know that being published is one of the testaments of, can be one of the testaments that can be also a bane of it, of your professional career. Is once you get published, that changes your mindset into from I wish I could to I think I can and I am doing. So it has opened up possibilities, and I know several people that has really opened up possibilities beyond the sketch cards too, where they have it has been a bridge to other things. So that and plus the repetitive drawing and the that's intense work, and they've gotten better in the process. So that's a definite benefit of that too.
Right.
Yeah, it's I know I saw an increase in Yuko's work when he cranked out all those Marvel and DC cards. Because like you said, you're just drawing over and over and over and over and over, and you're drawing quick, so you're finding ways around corners, and it makes you think quicker, your perspectives, your layouts, the whole thing, and you don't want to mess up. You want to get it right the first time, so it definitely helps your speed. And working in this industry in the pay scale, you got to have speed. So sketch cards.
Yeah, if you can, right. Yeah, if you can deliver, and you can deliver a pretty cool card, yeah, you're going to get noticed, and that too that forms sort of a there's a whole community of people out there doing sketch cards of different sets or whatever. So, that for that benefit too, that's a support group in a way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Let's tackle if you're okay. You want to get into comics, and it's a really hard field to get into, and you've decided to go the sketch card route. What would be steps that you guys know of, or that we can think of, that a newbie coming into it would want to take?
I would go to first off, really look at your stuff, but I would just start sketching up some cards for one thing. But one thing you want to learn is parts of the business, and that would be maybe going to reading the posts on Skagro Art Community, for example. There's a couple other community boards and stuff, and like Denise Vasquez and Randy, her boyfriend, her significant other, maybe her fiance, they did a book called Sketch Card Mania, which I think is out now. So I haven't seen it yet, but I know they were working on it. And watching and befriending other people, commenting on other people's cards, looking at some of the people will show things in stages, and you can learn from that. But in the meantime, you can ask other people questions, not bug them, but by watching and learning, just like in comics and whatever, you can learn about the process of doing those things, getting your own cards out there, because even though there are a lot of people doing it, it is tough, and there are opportunities. It is tough. I mean, you sort of have to bring it. There is a standard in a lot of ways. So, but one of the things is with say the sketch card event for cancer that we do every year, Blue Light Pro sketch card event, the whole title there. We have a lot of people doing sketch cards. I mean, it's what, over 1,000?
Yep.
Maybe it's hundreds, and it's over 1,000 cards every year.
Right.
And that's not quite the same thing, but it's using your talents to achieve an effect. And people look at those cards, especially when they go up on bids. People start scrolling through those screens on eBay for the charity thing, and searching just characters sometimes, but all of a sudden there's a card, and something catches your eye, and all those things combined, just like comics, doing quality comic book illustrations, quality in sketch cards and other concept art, things like that, can bring you out to the other people's attention. Okay, now go.
I think you did a pretty good job there, bud.
Hey, you thought I was going to say anything, didn't you? Well, you did. You knew I was going to say stuff, but yeah, I mean, you do some research, and once you start knowing and seeing the people who are doing sketch cards and who are really active, they will, look over your cards too, or encourage you, or whatever. I mean, put your stuff out there and join a message board and start showing it, just like comics, and you can go to Comic Related and show your sketch cards. Several people on there are they do both. They do sketch cards, they do comics, they do just illustrations and commissions and things. But basically, you want to get your name out there and get your work out there, and sketch cards are no different, really, in that respect than anything else. So if you've got it, bring it.
Right.
Bring it on. Show it off. So.
Okay, so say you're starting to establish yourself. There's, like you said, there's communities out there that you can jump on and join, right? You really need to build a following, though, before you can really do anything like eBay, don't you think?
In some respects, it's sort of which came first, chicken or the egg.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use that to build their rep. They put their stuff out there, and if you put your stuff out there, and say you're good. You are a good artist, and you have done some cool sketch cards. Putting them on eBay, posting them on your social media, that kind of thing. You can build up your own. Use those things to build up your reputation.
Right.
Because people will, they're not going to really question. Say you do a sketch of something, and that you're not automatically associated with the top Star Wars or that kind of thing, but you can use that as a way to build up your not only your fan base, say, but there are some people who do. That is all they do is sketch cards.
Really?
And that's all they've ever done, maybe. There's a guy on Ustream, and I had followed him at one point, but I need to reactivate my Ustream. But that's all. Yeah, that's all he does, and then his videos are just about him doing sketch cards. And it was easy to find because all you have to do is put a search and search sketch cards, and then boom, there's several people to just look at and either follow them or check them out the next time that they are online doing their cards and their tutorials. Or, they're not really tutorials. In some ways, this guy is. And the second I don't have to think about his name, it'll pop into my head, hopefully. But I am turning 50 next year, so it shows.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's both ways. Mark, I think I mentioned before, Mark Probst is doing, who did Southern Nights and some other things. He does a lot of, that's basically his bread and butter right now, and he's doing some awesome sketch cards on eBay. And that's all it's quick. He does he knows his stuff, and that's primarily his main source of income, I guess, right at the moment. So there are other people out there doing sort of the same thing, because within one card, you can do one card an hour, and you've built up the fan base going through the ranks kind of thing, and or doing sets or some of the other things. And I don't know. It also depends really on the person.
Right.
Whether you have that ability to sort of have your own fan base. You can be a regular, not a Jim Lee type, a superstar artist, or somebody who's, just starting out, you can be a good, decent artist, and building your own fan base just based on, I'm not saying mediocrity. I'm just saying it is difficult to have your own quote unquote fan base, but it is there, and part of that too is the person. It's people investing not so much in your cards as also you as a person, making yourself available to people and being a networking person, just like in comics, just like in some of the other, like in fiction writing. Putting yourself out there, and cards are a way to put yourself out there, and sometimes your personality comes out in your cards. Whether it's you like to draw, the Fantastic Four, or something. There's I've seen the 4 cards side by side with each member of the Fantastic Four on one card, but the whole thing is put together is this little mini mural kind of thing. I've seen a lot of triptychs, 3 cards broken up. I think Eric did one for Lackluster World that got a lot of press last time.
I think Warren Ellis sort of got a handle on it, and he plugged it. Yeah, it got some major bids. But it was a 2-card. It was a 2-card set as zombie astronauts is what it was. It was really cool.
Right.
Cards.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's inventive, and I said before in other podcasts that I respect clever, and there are clever ways to do all those things, and those things appeal to me as somebody who appreciates that stuff. So, and there are other people who are like that. So I figure, I'm not the only one who does, but not just because they're pretty cards or you use a lot of pretty colors, but yeah, I like clever, and there are clever ways to do some very inventive cards, some very inventive layouts, and challenging not only yourself as an artist, but also the people who are potential buyers or fans of your work, kind of thing.
Right.
And that's in everything, but in this case, yeah, I mean, you're that very small, not a page, but a very small format, trying to bring out the best in you into these cards, and talent will rise.
Oh yeah.
Just like so.
Well, it's a great way to get better at your skills, because let's get real. It's go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I think it allows you to determine what kind of creator you want to be. It's an easy and relatively safe way for you to play with different genres of stuff. That gives you the opportunity to maybe, try out your own characters, in a smaller format than having to create a whole book around them. Gives you the opportunity to try out a genre you haven't been part of before, like, funny animal or horror or, whatever. And I think it allows you to decide ultimately what kind of artist you're going to be. Are you going to be someone that does purely established mainstream characters? Or are you going to be someone that's going to try to make a go on sketch cards completely of your own, create your own character, which is going to be a harder road to go, definitely. But I also think that it will probably ultimately work in your favor, because it will help you establish those characters, and it'll help you, get your name out there as someone who... I have no problem with this myself, but there are people out in the industry who have a definite problem with people who their whole source of income is the use of art they create of copyrights owned by someone else. So
Wait a minute. There's
there is
people
some
out there who
stigma.
have trouble with that?
No, there are people. I have talked to people who have definite negative opinions of people whose entire income is
Based on
creating
license.
work of, creating mainstream, their versions of mainstream characters.
Yeah.
For example, if you're an indie creator and you're trying to get your book out there and you're trying to pique people's interest, okay, so you're there selling your book.
Right.
Next to you is a guy that has set up doing nothing but DC and Marvel sketch cards or prints or whatever. So that some of the people I've talked to in the independent industry have real issues with that type of person, who they're not really creating so much as they are recycling or regurgitating. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean that could be in some ways a commercial success, and by no means just if you say you have an independent say you have your own book and
right.
you want to get your name out there, the cards can be a way of drawing attention of your character, your original character, your OC, drawing attention to that book or that title or that character. Gary and I talked about doing Ursula cards at one point, just as a side thing. But just because you've done that does not. I don't want anybody to think that it's automatic that you put your cards on eBay and people will just buy them, because they don't.
No.
I mean, it's if they're not good, or if, maybe they don't see it, or if you aren't working other outlets to let people know that your cards are out there, it's a vacuum. Your card's sitting there. Nobody knows it. You might as well just lock it in the closet, because nobody's going to know. But you have to, along with doing your cards, you have to be working other things too. Getting your name and all the other things that we talk about on all the other podcasts. You have to sort of put yourself out there, your talent, your whatever, and bring attention to your character, or your talent, your eye for whatever, your design, and get it out there. And yeah, there are people who do. That's all they do is Marvel and DC characters, and I've seen them, and some of them are licensed, and some of them they will do the main sets of cards, and then on their returns they'll do maybe a variant of whatever the Hulk say, and
right.
they'll maybe use silver ink or something to do highlights or something, for example, on one card, just something different, and makes it just a little extra, and maybe they sell that return card on eBay or whatever, or auction it off somewhere for charity. And that's another thing that people have done, especially inspired by the cancer event. There have been other events where people use sketch cards as the main focus of the thing. So in this day and time, you do have to be careful, because if Marvel was already protective of their copyright, Disney now owns Marvel, and Disney is really, really protective of their properties and all that. They will take your cards if they, or your art or whatever. I mean, they're I think they are able to do that if they.
Well, they're able to shut down an eBay auction. They're able to come to a convention and tell you to remove them, that you're not allowed to sell them. Truthfully, a lot of the conventions, the contracts you sign, that will option that you have to leave the show because you're selling unlicensed materials. But let's get real. the sketch cards offer a way to get those characters out in front of an audience.
Mm-hmm.
It also allows to develop artists to get better in a draw, who these publishers end up picking up to do work for them. So I don't see anybody coming down on sketch card artists. I don't see them coming down on guys creating prints right now. I think you have to be careful. Should somebody go to a Star Wars convention, taking a folder full of Star Wars sketch cards, and not be a licensed sketch card artist? No.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No. Not a good idea. Could you come to Detroit here and set up, sell them? Sure. You know, the odds are having somebody here from Lucasfilms is nil. Pretty small. You might tick off some licensed artists who are officially licensed, and I guess they could turn you in, but I think that would be really lame-o on their part because they started out somewhere. I think all these guys who get licensed need to realize they started out somewhere. Now, if you see the same person 5 years from now still doing it and haven't been able to try to get licensed or whatever, maybe get all peeved. I don't care. But we all start out. So I think you're a big draw when you're licensed. When you're a Joe Crony, you're a licensed artist. You're a big draw for it. But I don't even see Disney at this point. This is so below them as far as how things stack up, you know, that, yeah, I wouldn't go to Disney World and set up and draw characters, not be licensed. I wouldn't do it under their nose. Let's put it that way. And a lot of people need to realize eBay is under their nose. I know Lucasfilms has people that monitor eBay auctions. They monitor the internet. So you have to be careful there. Selling them in person, probably not so much of a problem. Send them out on the internet if you're not licensed, or whatever Bill called it. Yeah. Approved. If you're not approved, could be a problem. Even approved people, I noticed through a friend of mine who's also approved and threw some of his stuff into a sketchbook with other stuff, was asked to remove that sketchbook off the internet because those pieces had not been officially approved. So, I mean, you could sell them in person. He just yanked the sketchbook totally and trashed it. Said done. He could have sold them at cons and stuff, and I had no deal. He just didn't want them out there. He didn't want to take a chance of being, you know, on the bad side of Lucasfilms. It's not worth it. It's not worth taking a chance. So
yeah, that's not a thing you want to lose.
No, once you achieve it, you don't want to lose it.
Right.
So,
there is one more thing about this.
Uh-huh.
Bill was saying before, definitely get your name out there. You know, use the social medias. Let people know you're doing sketch cards and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is an extreme to this.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in our circle does quite a few sketch cards and puts those sketch cards on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Then tweets about them.
Mm-hmm.
20, 30 at a time.
Ooh.
One tweet right after the other.
Ooh, not good.
That is a turnoff to people. Yes. That, you know, a few at a time is fine. Putting 20 or 30 at once and filling up someone's Twitter page, that is either going to get you scrolled through without looking or, you know, possibly even deleted.
Right.
From that person's friend list. So you got to think about stuff like that. You know, people are interested in looking at other people's work, but you also have to be careful about not drowning people under it.
Now, is he doing all himself, or are people retweeting it? And so it keeps
no, it's all
popping
him.
Up. Is it?
It's all him. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all under this person's main name, so they're not retweets. It's all.
Okay.
He's apparently sitting there with a stack. Right. Which, you know, good good on him that he is trying to get his name out there. Not so good on him that he's trying to do, 50 at once.
Right. Need to spread them out.
Right. There tends to be a limit, or you could say, okay, here's everything I've done, and go to this website to check them all out. Something like that.
Right.
But it gets excessive, and if you get your name out there for being excessive rather than for your talent, it definitely works against you.
Oh, you get blocked or off people's list or whatever.
Just, even the site could get testy about that and kick you off. So there are things to watch. People have very short attention spans ultimately, so
right.
You have to keep that in mind when you're trying to grab their attention.
Now I'm wondering, we might do this as an experiment in a couple months, just to see, and we can report back. And say, Claysway, it's starting to build up its viewers and there are people coming to it. Could we do a sketch card, throw it on eBay, and then do the tweets and the stuff and see how many people would come over, look at it, and bid on it? Somebody could get a cheap piece of original artwork, or it could build up,
right.
Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering how it would go.
It's worth the try.
Well, I think there are several strategies you can do with that. That's one. Another is that, a lot of people personally, and you can have even just your friends do their, that could be like a little subset or whatever of just an added little thing of Claysway, and you can put those on the site. Mm-hmm. That would be cool to see other people's take on, in the sketch card for Claysway. Mm-hmm. Which would amount to fan art.
Right.
Which, is another subject. But
yeah.
Right.
Talk about that sometime.
We have been getting.
John hasn't been. John doesn't know we've already got a piece of Claysway fan art.
No way.
But it is cool.
It is cool.
So,
guy from Cartoon
nice.
Network. So.
Nice.
So that's those two things, and that's a good marketing thing as well. There's all kinds of, and you can try out ideas like in a sketch card that for maybe it's even just a panel almost of the strip. There are ways to play it. So, or you could take the original strips and cut them up in sketch card size. There you go.
Yeah, like they take.
There you go.
Baseball players' uniforms and they punch and make trading cards out of them. Have you guys seen any?
There you go.
No, I haven't seen that.
Really? Those cards go like brand new. You'll pay like $30 a pack for a pack of one card, and you'll either get like a jersey card or a base card or an autograph card. Yeah, it's big time.
That does bring up an interesting question with these sketch cards. We're all old enough to remember when baseball cards sort of invaded comic book stores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For a while. Yeah, they did pretty much every store I can think of. Then everyone got away from that, or it switched over to gaming cards, I guess, and now it's sketch cards.
I don't really see the sketch stores.
Yeah, well, not yet, but I wonder why it's taken that turn.
Well,
this may even be a question without an answer, but
no, there is an answer. The baseball card market, killed itself by putting out too many sets and subsets. There's too many companies, and they all did rookie sets, or they all did some special set. So basically, they just killed it. That is a danger in anything that you do, like even variant covers for comics or whatever. If it's a gimmick or if it's excessive, like you were talking about with the tweets and all that stuff.
Right.
You can kill your own market. Black and white implosion with comics. It's like a balloon. Eventually, it can pop. It might, pinprick and barely get slowly, but it can explode or implode, and that's once the baseball card thing aspect. I mean, they're still out there. They're still being produced and everything. They're still sets, but it's not like it was.
Well,
but there are still people who collect classic cards, I would say.
Yeah, or even superhero cards. There was that big superhero card boom, and I have a whole binder full of them, and I took them to a convention recently to try to sell them. I couldn't give those suckers away.
Yep, I have boxes of them, singles and sets and everything. You can't do anything with them right now. I don't know how
you can't get those things.
Topps is moving. I mean, Star Wars sets come out still. Marvel sets come out. So, I mean, and we moved some packs in the shop, but you don't see people collecting the whole sets hardly anymore.
Right.
They want to get the sketch card out of it, or they want to get the autographed card out of it, or, they just want to get the rare card. It isn't so much as I want the whole set, or I know I have a page where Jim Lee did all the X-Men's, and I have this one shot that it's 9 cards, and it's like a Danger Room scene, all 9 cards together. And each card is a different figure within the Danger Room. And, I still have that. That's cool as heck. And that's where, Bill was saying be creative with them. That was where Jim Lee had to do all these cards, and he was trying to be creative with them. And so, that was pretty cool. But, yeah, you just don't see people collecting the whole sets right now. They just want the specialty cards. And, that come around, I think it started off with the foil cards and the autograph cards, and then they had to get more creative than autographs, and that's when they started doing the sketch cards. Right. I think that was pretty much a big hit, and it's created a whole market. And we all know several people who do them well. It's a different way to build your skills. So, and Blue Line sells blanks. So.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
I did cards tryout cards because Joe Caroni convinced me. He said you should try it. But the thing is, I'm not a penciler, and that's a whole new skill set. And if you go to my DeviantArt page, you can see. I think I still have them in the gallery. Some of the cards that I did, but that first year we did the sketch card, the sketch card event. Whatever I had left, whatever I had on hand, I put them in the auction, and boom, they're gone.
Right.
Because I just didn't want to see them anymore after that. But I did color, and I did, I tried out other things, and I haven't colored in a while. And I colored with watercolor, and so I was a bit antsy about the whole thing anyway. But and I had a opportunity to work on the Avengers TV show set this year, but I really realized that it's not something I want to do. Mm-hmm. I realized about myself that I'll ink whatever, I'll help somebody do whatever, but I don't want to pencil the things. I'm not geared for that so much.
Right.
I can design some things, but I can't sit down and pencil from start to finish, create a card. I mean, I can, but it's not something I want to do. It's a chore for me, and I don't like things to be a chore because then it takes the enjoyment out of it.
Right.
I mean, some things you have to do, but this was just extra and something. At first, I thought it would be fun, and parts of it were, but a couple of cards of it I liked. It Ray Harryhausen cards, I did a couple of those, and it was kind of fun because I like those movies and stuff. And I love the Avengers, but Draw and Steed, Name Appeal, and all of that. And I'd rather watch the DVD or something. I found that's one of those situations where I found something that was not my calling, and
right.
That's one of those learning things, and it's something that you go through and maybe that's because you learn what you're good at, and you learn what you're not good at. And some people learn what they're not good at, and they still do it. But that's another story, you know. But that doesn't mean you can't get better, and it doesn't mean that I could get better. But I just don't want to invest the time and the energy into doing something I really dread almost. Really, if I had to do it, I would rather ink cards for, like I have for the last 3 years. That's fun for me to ink other people's sketch cards. I get to ink Joe Staten, Brian Pierce this year, and did some great cards. I think I've done Joe Staten's card, and I'm a fan of his, and he did sketch cards for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. The first year I could have inked Dick Giordano.
I know,
but it kills me. But well, I mean, he sent them to Blue Line, and by that time there were thousands of cards. So pulling those 2 cards out to get to me in time was, it was just because plus everything had to be scanned and everything. It was just time got away from us. But that was just the idea of that was just cool. So I mean, that's all part of it too, is the coolness of it and what you can do, what you try to do. And sometimes it works, sometimes it wasn't. It doesn't, but it wasn't something that I enjoyed, but parts of it I did. So there's an enjoyment factor there. There's also a creative factor. And some of it's a financial factor for some people, and I know people who do sell a lot of their cards and do tweet a lot maybe, or do post about it, or do run journals on DeviantArt, and they're trying to get their name out there, and I understand it. I do. And they're in this financial situation our country and our world is in, our global economy, that there may be more pressing financial worries for some people, so that causes them to do more, and I understand that. And you can always hit, hide or skip past that one, but I don't know. I would probably say I was guilty of some of the same things with our stuff, because I tweet or I post or I do whatever, because I do several things, whether it's the art contest or Clay's Way or Sketch Magazine, those things. But getting your name out there, and part of it is that you get your name out there. People, if somebody sees one card, maybe they see the card that gets you noticed, and maybe they share that, or maybe they post a comment on whatever, and other people see that they posted a comment, and it can be a snowball. So basically, the idea is just to keep trying if that's what you're trying to do. Do your best work, and like I said, talent will rise. It takes a while sometimes, but keep at it. Okay, I'm
done. You did a good job.
I should say like 10-4 or something. That way you have a code word.
No, you should go, and scene.
There you go. And scene.
All right.
And scene.
And we're back.
There you go. Perfect.
Well, I think we've scratched the surface on sketch cards here, guys. I think there's a lot of ways to go with it. We probably need to come back and touch the actual art of sketch cards. Sketch cards are tricky because basically you want to do headshots, bust shots, and waist-up shots. Full figures are too small. Just not enough room for the detail. So there's a lot of concepts. You want to use more brilliant colors when possible if it fits your style, so they stand out. So there's some different things you want to think about. And
someone that draws real loose.
Yep.
That's going to be a problem if you're someone who draws real loose, or you have a problem with drawing things small, very uber detailed. That could be a problem for you as well.
Yeah, you'd be inking with a 0.00 micron.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Use a pen needle to ink with.
Right. Use an actual needle to
Yeah.
ink with.
Yeah. So
pull out an eyelash and
there
try to
you
ink
go.
with that.
Yeah, I've actually used the needle to ink with before. So
Really?
crazy. Yeah, really. Yeah.
That's funny.
Some facial eyes and stuff like that. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I'll say this: we've whatever we've covered in the subject of sketch card. With every podcast on comic related, I create a thread. So if you're listening to this podcast and you have a question, or you are a sketch card artist and you want to sound off and say, "Yeah, this is what I do. This is my approach to it," I welcome you to go to comic related to our forum topic, our section there under the podcast, and post to that.
Yep.
Give us your feedback, and that's with comic artists and all the other things that we do. Anything that we talk about, people are welcome to come to the forum and give their opinion or give their input, and then we talk about it. We learn stuff that we even didn't know or become acquainted with, or it refines a point that we made. And in this situation, when we come back to it, then we will have more things to talk about.
So do we have any questions on the board?
Scene.
And scene.
No.
No?
No, I mean, there was some comment, but not so much.
Okay, so see, listeners, we do check them so that we can answer them.
Yeah, check them. I check the comic-related board every day. So,
awesome.
We have, like I said, we have our own. The second section on the forum is ours. It's Sketch Magazine forums, and
right.
You can go to the podcast and talk about those things, or anything with comics and stuff. So, there's plenty to do there, and plenty to talk to us about, because we're not doing this in a vacuum. It's three guys, podcasting, but there's a whole group of people, hundreds of people who listen to these things, and it helps to have something coming back, whether it's as a sounding board or whatever. But go to the forum. I'm serious about that, and give us your thoughts and your experiences. So there you go. Anthony.
Yeah, ultimately, you're making our lives easier.
Well,
yeah.
Well, one, we like the questions because we know people are out there
Mm-hmm.
listening to it. Two, we're here to share our experiences. So, anytime we can share, help out, and if we don't have an instant answer, we'll go find it. We know enough people. John, what did you post online this week?
Not a thing. No, I'm kidding. Always posting a lot of stuff. And since we are doing this a little later than normal,
yes,
more stuff than usual. Most recently, I did a thing on drawing anthro characters using basic shapes, anthro being short for anthropomorphic, for those of you not familiar. You have heard us mention Jackie Hernandez many times, and she, when she is not doing Clay's Way, does Ringtail Cafe and the Confectionaries. Ringtail Cafe is an anthropomorphic character book, which you should go check out because it is extremely cool. So the artist here shows how to create those characters using the basic circle, square, and triangle method, so check those out. Then I got on a little kick of putting famous artists doing their work up. I happened to find prior to that, I happened to find a longer video done by the people who do iFanboy on the creator Ben Templesmith, who, for those of you who aren't familiar, did 30 Days of Night, The Book Fell, and Dead Space. I thought it might be a good entry as far as, with Halloween coming up and everything. A lot of his stuff tends to lean a little more towards the horror genre. Back to what I was saying about People sketching. I've got Ethan Van Scribe sketching what appears to be I guess that's the Jean Grey, but in the more common thing. And we were talking a lot of sketch books. Another thing that's become extremely popular lately seems to be the sketch cover sorts of things. We can maybe cover that some other time. But that seems to be becoming a big thing in recent times. And below that, just for people who don't know who Ethan Van Scribe is, I put a little interview of him where he's talking about certain things, one of them being his book, or his original character, Cyber Frog.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, you remember Cyber Frog?
Yeah.
Then 2 days... for 2 days, I came across this long series of videos, and the two things I posted weren't even half of what's there, but it's on creating a graphic novel. This gentleman here received a Xeric Foundation Award, or grant, or however they term that, with him funds to help him create his book. Well, as part of that, apparently, he has done this series where he goes out and talks to people and helps them in creating their own graphic novel. He has taken a video of that series and broken it up into a number of videos. And for that 2 days, I believe I did maybe 4 a day. So I think you get about 8 worth, give or take. So check those out. His name is Gareth Hines. He's part of the Graphic Artists Guild. And his original book is called Bearskin. So go check all that out if you have an interest. If nothing else, just check out the videos because it is a lot of really good information. And as I said, there's a lot of it, so, take some time. Then there's Brian Hitch talking about his techniques and how he approaches various things. About 3 videos on him, talking about his work and showing his work. So check it out. And once again, he's one of those people with that gigantic drawing table that I'm always envious of. And then I was a really gigantic fan of the most recent run of Thor with Olivier Capel. And I was able to come across 2 videos of him at a convention, one sketching out Thor and the other sketching out the female version of Loki. And then once again, for people who aren't familiar, I found a little interview with him. Talking about Thor and just, talking about stuff in general. Then this one's another sketch and interview grouping together from J. Scott Campbell. With the exception of the late Michael Turner, J. Scott Campbell is one of my favorite comic artists, has been for many years. I really appreciate his style of art a great deal, so there is that, and you can check those out. And did we get to Dustin Nguyen before? I don't think we did.
I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. And then also Dustin Nguyen interviewing and drawing. So you can see I was on a bit of a kick here. And yeah, I believe that brings us up because I believe we hit graffiti last time.
Yep.
And actually kind of funny, or maybe just funny to me, when I was doing a little research on Dustin, I had forgotten that the young man off of 21 Jump Street was also named Dustin Nguyen. So It's amazing how much of this Dustin Nguyen and that Dustin Nguyen stuff gets intermingled on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, maybe it's only funny to me, but being old enough that I remember 21 Jump Street and remember the other Dustin Nguyen, it just struck me as a mute. Aoki, yeah. And then later on, he showed up on. I think he showed up on that thing with the real high tech submarine and the smart dolphin.
Oh, yeah.
Sea
Quest.
something. Yeah. The one with Roy Scheider. He was on that too in the later years. But as you can see, with Dustin Nguyen, I kind of took his Wikipedia entry and plopped it right in there for people who didn't know exactly who he was. But I think pretty much everyone knows his work. So check all that out. Most of us have a relatively long weekend coming up. Anyway, so go check that out.
Sounds good, John. Bill, what you got going on the boards and at Comics Mentor? I see that you're looking for judges for the art contest.
Yes, I am, and because I sent you an email about it. We got the entries in, and that's for the DVD to win the DVD of Get 'Em to the Greek. So now we're in the judging phase. So you can go on Comic Related forum and see those entries for yourself. And there's a judges forum where I've grouped them all together, so the judges can. Some of the judges are. These are pros and people in the industry who will. I've already gotten a couple of votes already, and I really appreciate the people taking time. Chris Warner took out. He actually had the time to do comments this time, for example, and looking at those comments and then looking at the piece, maybe you learn something. It's a quick tutorial in a way. What works, what doesn't. What works for one person doesn't work for another person. Which and plus personal taste, also figure into it. But that's the big thing on the boards this week, as well as the podcast entry and all that. But on Comics Mentor, I think about a week ago I asked, "What do you need from me?" And that was sort of a general question. In some ways, it's about Comics Mentor. Do you need me to, comic stuff or encouragement? And encouragement pretty much has fallen out, which I sort of was already in that vein anyway. But sometimes you just want to ask, sort of your purpose in a way, or how you can help other people. Because, like I said, I'll post things about myself, something I really need to hear that day, and it resonates with other people. And that happens pretty much every week, sometimes every day in a week almost, where something clicks, where somebody needs to hear whatever. And I've posted about one of my mentors, which is the aforementioned Chris Warner, because the first Chicago Comic-Con I ever went to, there was Chris Warner, and I knew him from Apple 5, and I got to meet him and Mark Badger. But Chris has been there through my comic life, career, whatever. At different times, you can go read that, and Chris was very gracious about it, and he was very humbled. He said, "I made him blush, so he has to kill me now." But
sounds like Chris.
Yeah, and mostly this last week has been a lot about encouraging things. But if you have time, go to Comics Mentor, and I think it's, like I said, it's about a week ago. I think it's the 21st of October entry. And what do you need from Comics Mentor, or do you even need a Comics Mentor? I mean, some people, probably don't. But and it's not so much, like I said, it's not so much about me. It's about putting the good out there. And because some of the people who are commenting here are on other boards and some of the message forums, DeviantArt, that kind of thing. And this is a place for them to make their opinions known, and their words of encouragement or their words of how this has touched them affects other people as well. So it's a domino thing, and it carries through. And let that be the sort of the thread that runs through your life is put the good out there in your own life, and just continue to do that. And you don't even have to go to Comics Mentor to do that. Just do it and draw and create. And that's one of the biggest things is if that's what you want to do it.
Right.
And work at it. Be realistic in your goals and pursue your dreams. And if you need help, go to Comics Mentor and ask me about whatever. If it's about focus, I'm helping somebody right now with that because I struggle with that too, having so many things going on. And his name's not Bob Hickey. He has a lot of projects that in the works or in his mind when he's trying to work on one thing. So I've had several people, especially in this last week, ask me different kinds of things, and that's a challenge to me to help or to be practically practical help, because I don't want them just to feed them, spoon feed them little bits of wisdom kind of thing. But plus I post things about the podcast as well. So I mean that's a way to keep up with whatever's going on with us, or if something's coming up, like the judges forums and that kind of thing. So that's it. Nancy.
Let's see. We've been working on Blue Line, putting new products on and stuff myself. And Claysway.com. I'll mention that, John, since you had to back me up last week on it. 2 new strips up about Halloween. Those were a lot of fun. I'm going to start taking over the blogs on the site a little bit more, make them a little more personal, and I'm going to move the ADHD business type stuff more over into the community now that Bill and I have been working on. So we can get some activities over there. So it's going to tweak a little bit. I think we're going to try to get the store live here in the next month or so. So I've been working there. Sketchmagazine.net is, always trying to keep it updated. You can find out about the Sketch Magazine podcast app over there and the latest podcast. And that's really it. I'm sitting up here right now, Detroit. I'm looking forward to the show. Eddie's up here, who you guys know that I'm working on a new project with. This is the first time we've publicly appeared with some of the artwork from Camelot Forever. So after this show and next weekend, I'll roll right back into Mid-Ohio Con next weekend up in Columbus. So I doubt if I get a whole lot posted this week, but after that show, I'm going to start getting the Camelot Forever site up so everybody can start seeing some of this cool artwork that Eddie's creating and that we're working on. So busy, as Bill mentioned, on all ends. Keeping busy on all ends. So, John, how can they find you?
They can find me 2 places, John at comicrelated.com or John at sketchmagazine.net.
Bill, how can they find you?
They can go to Comics Mentor, comicsmentor.com. If they need to email me, it's comicsmentor@gmail.com. Also on the, once again, aforementioned comic-related forum community, go there. There's a whole section for Sketch Magazine, and I post there, and I look at other new posts, and I comment on things. So, there you go.
Cool. You can catch me at BobH at BlueLinePro.com or at Robert at SketchMagazine.net. I had to think there for a minute. We let podcasters know that we are getting together in a couple weeks to talk about the studio stuff, our own personal studio stuff, but we're also, Bill and I are going to be working on getting Sketch 40 cranked up, hopefully out here very soon. 41. Yeah, I'm sorry. 40 should be in your hands. Yes.
Yeah,
finally.
Right.
So
you should be looking at 40 right now.
Right. And 41. So it's going to be the Alex Ross issue. So I'm hoping to come out of here with some good news on future issues. We'll see. I'm not going to mention a whole lot too, but I'm going to see what I can land up here. So, all right, guys. I think it was a good one. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Adios.